So in this video I'm going to talk about how to construct an isometric oval or ellipse, and then also how to construct a cylinder in isometric projection as well. So we're going to go over to the paper. Now the first starting point when we're constructing an ellipse or even any sort of shape, generally speaking in isometric drawing, is to draw a square. Okay, we talked about it as crating in the previous video. So what I'm going to do is concern myself just with two axes at the moment, and that is going to be, my first axis is the y-axis, so going from the bottom of the page upwards at 90 degrees from the base there. Okay, so I'm just drawing one line in like this, and I'm going to concern myself with the x-axis. So the x-axis is going to come across at 30 degrees, okay, from that plane. So I'm just going to draw a couple of lines in like this. Now you'll notice what I'm doing there is turning the paper round, because my arm goes this way, and I'm also trying to practice the line before I draw it to try and make sure these are straight. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle or a square, it doesn't matter too much, to construct my ellipse into. Notice I'm turning the paper again to do my second line on the y-axis there. Okay, so there we go, I've got 4 lines. There's my square. Now what I'm going to do is break this down further. So I'm going to do one line coming from one side of the square to the other corner like this. Okay, you can use a ruler if you wish to start off with, but it's good practice to practice as you go. Ghosting the line using the elbow, and again I'm practicing my other line like this, just for breaking the point down and finding that center point in the middle there. Okay, I'm now going to go through again. So I'm going through on the y-axis here at 90 degrees, through the middle, and then again through at 30 degrees to break this square down into several sections. Okay, now at this point the technique I'm showing you is to do an ellipse using freehand. Okay, there is a more technical way that you can do this using a compass, but it does slow down your drawing significantly, and for the purpose of what we're trying to do this for, this technique is sufficient. Now what I'm going to do is on this diagonal line here, I'm going to do a curve. Now what tends to happen when people do this is they draw their curve and it flattens off, so you end up with an ellipse that's kind of out here and it looks squashed, and it looks or even worse, a straight line. Now what we're going to do is around about 2/3 of the way, so if I break this down into 3 sections, okay, about 2/3 of the way I'm going to put a little mark on the point there, and my curve is going to come through from this point here, through that point at 2/3 to the top point up here. So I'm going to just practice this in. Again, you can ghost that first curve, going through there like this, and then going round and through to the other point. So we should end up, that's not a particularly good one there, but we should end up with a curve that's fairly accurate. Okay, I'm then going to take this point where it's on the diagonal and using my 30-degree line, mark that point across like this, and I'm going to track this down the shape to the bottom there using the 90-degree line, and then again across at 30 degrees there to this point. Now all I have to do is plot from the point through the midpoint to the end and do this a series of times. So I'm going to go through here like this, through there, and then once again through the bottom. This is slightly more complicated, but there, notice I'm turning the paper around, and there we have an ellipse that looks fairly accurate. Now I'm going to stop the video there, and then we'll talk about how to turn this into a 3D cylinder in a second.